Hi all. Having various problems here, bear with me. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. People are still coming in too. Okay. Think I've got things working. Can you see that presentation slide?
Yes.
Oh, good. Zoom is not cooperating with me well today. Still have folks joining, so bear with me here. Okay, given the time, and I think I got Zoom cooperating well enough now, so I will start the meeting. My name's Porter Arneal. I'm Assistant Director of Parks, Recreation, Arts, and Culture here, and heading up the Unmistakable Grant program this year, which has changed a little bit. So I'm going to go back and share my screen. And walk you through a presentation. And please stop me if you have any questions. This is an informal presentation just to make sure everybody's understanding of the program and new attributes of the program. So happy to answer questions as we go along. This basically reflects the guidelines that are online that you all have access to right now. So that's what I'm covering in this. So as I said, we have renamed this to the Unmistakable Events Grant Program. This is for fiscal year 2025 next year. As part of the 2025 city budget, the City Commission approved a $150,000 grant program to encourage, promote, and strengthen events and programs that benefit the Lawrence community and/or enhance the visitor experience in Lawrence. And of course, all of this ties back to the city's strategic plan. Parks, Recreation, Arts, and Culture is responsible for the unmistakable identity outcome area, which you see to the left. And we also are beholden to all of the commitments, but in this case, primarily the community engagement commitment, sound fiscal stewardship, equity and inclusion, and environmental sustainability. This whole presentation is also available on the webpage, so you can find information. And as you see, the strategic plan web link is on this page as well. And of course, unmistakable identity is Lawrence is a welcoming community, synonymous with arts, diverse culture, fun, and a quintessential downtown. City parks and community events contribute to the vibrancy experienced by all people in Lawrence. This is not cooperating quite right. But as many of you probably know, each of the outcome areas and commitment areas have different key performance indicators. They're used to measure progress in the areas that we're focused on. And I apologize. What this is showing you is behind this is all of our unmistakable identity key performance indicators or key progress indicators. And what's on front is the what it looks like on the webpage. So this is how we're measuring our progress in these various areas. And that occurs through survey tools and other data that we receive. So that's what we're striving for. And you'll see this reflected in both the grant guidelines and the scoring matrix that we have as well. And of course, the funding comes from the transient guest tax, which is a 6% tax levied on the rental of rooms, lodging, or other sleeping accommodations within the city. The revenue generated from the TGT is allocated to support tourism-related activities and events that enhance Lawrence's cultural and economic landscape. And it talks about this initiative. So the Unmistakable Events Grant Program is administered through the Parks, Recreation, Arts, and Culture Department as part of the Unmistakable Identity Outcome Area. Grant application review will be conducted with the assistance of a diverse ad hoc volunteer committee of 7, comprising members from the Cultural Arts Commission and Parks and Recreation Advisory Boards, as well as individuals with background in arts and culture, tourism, and economic development. This committee will review applications and make recommendations to the City Commission, which has final approval of grant funds. The goals of this program, this is a competitive funding opportunity for Lawrence-based events that are open to the public. To be eligible, events should meet most of the following goals. So the goals are strengthening Lawrence's unmistakable identity, providing economic impact, which is demonstrated measurable economic benefit by enhancing the travel and tourism economy, including the generation of additional transient guest tax and sales tax revenue. Cultural impact, demonstrate a measurable cultural benefit by enriching Lawrence's diverse and unmistakable identity through activities or initiatives that foster cultural growth and attract visitors. Community engagement and inclusion, foster community engagement with a focus on inclusivity by hosting events that resonate with diverse audiences, including Black, Indigenous, and people of color or BIPOC residents. Events should aim to increase the percentage of residents who feel their culture is celebrated in the community. And that reflects one of our key progress indicators. Sustainability and environmental stewardship. Promote events and programs that celebrate, enhance, and increase awareness about environmental sustainability, contributing to Lawrence's long-term environmental goals. So the guidelines of the grant program, eligibility. State-registered for-profit and not-for-profit businesses may submit one grant request for events held throughout the year in Lawrence, Kansas. Grants start at $600 and are limited to $15,000 per event. Grant should have a local focus. Only events that are held within the city limits are eligible for grant funds. Events should strive to become self-sustaining over time, although the city retains the discretion to fund events that align with the grant program goals. Focus on marketing and promotion. Funding can be used for overall event support, with a particular emphasis on marketing and promotional efforts. This could include advertising, print, social media, digital, radio, television, printing, flyers, posters, and banners, and video production, email marketing, web design, and graphic design services. Impact on tourism. Events expected to generate overnight stays, especially during non-peak times, December through March, and weekdays, Monday through Thursday night, are particularly desirable. There's a benefit scoring aspect in the scoring matrix that reflect the potential to generate transient guest packs during off-peak periods. And the other guidelines are in kind and cash support. Applications should note the value of in-kind services or cash support from other organizations, with required letters of commitment included as confirmation. Post-event reporting. Recipients of grant funds must sign an agreement with the city, including a requirement to submit post-event reports within 1 month of the event. Reports must include a summary, participant data, and details on the use of city funding. Failure to submit a report may disqualify the organization from future funding opportunities. And recognition. Events receiving funding must include the City of Lawrence and Explore Lawrence logos on sponsorship materials and acknowledge the city's support. City logos can be obtained from our webpage, which is there. And Explore Lawrence logos and specifications can be obtained by contacting Allison Calvin, and that is her email address. Any questions thus far? Okay, I will continue. This shows the scoring matrix. And as I said, this is tied back to our key progress indicators. Under unmistakable identity, it's unmistakable identity 2, which is % of residents who are satisfied or very satisfied with the amounts of arts, cultural opportunities, and related events. And then there's 2 scoring categories underneath that, unmistakable identity event, and does this event enhance the artistic and cultural vibrancy of Lawrence? And then on economic impact, there are 2 KPIs, UI4 and UI10, number of residents and or non-residents who have attended select events in the past year. And there's 3 scoring categories under that. We work closely with Explore Lawrence to help measure those 2 areas. They provide data for us, so we know of a select list of events who's coming from local sources or from regional, national sources. Cultural impact, there are also 2 KPIs. UI5 is % of Black, Indigenous, and people of color or BIPOC residents rating the community as welcoming. And UI6 is % of residents who believe their culture is celebrated in the community through festivals, parades, events, etc. Environmental stewardship is unmistakable identity number 13, number of events and programs that celebrate and enhance area environmental sustainability. On that note, I just want to be clear, it doesn't mean your event has to be specifically geared toward sustainability, but you definitely get credit for things that you do during your event to bolster environmental sustainability, whether that would be an education component, making sure that you are handling recycling appropriately. If you have people that are bringing any kind of materials, to try to keep those materials as sustainable as possible. And then the last 3 are under application, which is quality, leverage, outside and or in-kind support. So if you're collaborating with other groups and getting support from other groups, and the merit of the event, which is basically up to the individual scoring folks who maybe have experience with your event, who might want to add an additional score just to benefit, especially events that may be newer, that may not have quite the familiarity that some of the more tried and true events have. Any questions there? Can somebody let me know that you're still hearing me?
Still hearing you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Here. I guess I'm muted.
So the Unmistakable Events Grant Program. These are special things to note. This year, we increased equity for the city's 2 grant programs. The city administers 2 annual grant programs, which are both funded by transient guest tax. These are the Unmistakable Events Grant Program, which supports public events, and the Cultural Arts Commission's Community Arts Grant Program, which is dedicated to arts and culture projects and initiatives. Starting for next year, to make things more equitable, each event or arts and culture program can only receive 1 grant. This can either be from the Unmistakable Events Grant Program or the Community Arts Grant Program, but not both. However, if 2 separate nonprofits are working together on the same event, they can each apply for their own grant. For example, if the XYZ event is awarded funds from the Unmistakable Events Grant Program, then the ABC Arts Program, which is part of XYZ, could still get support from the Community Arts Grant Program. This setup helps encourage local event organizers and arts agencies to collaborate, creating more opportunities for everyone involved. Plus, the application timelines for these grant programs are organized so that applicants will know if they receive an Unmistakable Events grant before the deadline for the Community Arts Grant Program. This makes it easier to plan and helps provide a fair chance to receive funding. Any questions on that? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if a person applies for the first set of, a group applies for the first set of grants and it's not awarded, can they apply for the second set of grants?
That's exactly right. And that's why we have the 2 grant programs staggered.
Okay.
So that they would know. Now, keep in mind that the Unmistakable Events Program is specifically for events, while the Arts and Culture grants are for arts and culture related programs. That could conceivably include an event, but you know, there are different sort of goals to each of the grant programs.
Okay, and I was gonna, maybe you'll cover that. I did have a question regarding the distinction between the 2 and just maybe some help in clarifying where a particular event might fit.
Okay.
So when you talk about the events versus programs, so if it is an event, like a culturally centered event, like for us, we do play productions and around culturally social justice centered areas. So would that fit? And then last time we applied for the cultural arts grant, the community arts grant. So I'm trying to be sure I understand where we might fit in the sense of which grant.
So let me make sure I understand. So you're thinking that you would present a play somewhere? That would be the program or event?
Right.
Honestly, I think you could apply for both. The Unmistakable Events Grant Program, the max on those is 15,000 or 10% of the 150,000. So it is, there's potentially more funding available under that program. So I think if you're holding an event, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you do this at Theater Lawrence or something?
We do this in partnership with the Lead Center.
Oh, at the Lead Center. Okay. So would this be a run of plays, or would it be one night?
It will be one night.
So it's a one night. Yeah, I think, you know, that's a theater event for one night. I think it certainly qualifies under events. I also think it would actually qualify under the arts, you know, the community arts grants. But I would say in your case, the wisdom is go ahead and apply for the Unmistakable Events Grant Program. And if you don't get that, then you could certainly apply for the Community Arts Grant Program.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. So there's a few things that are important to remember that I just want to go through quickly. This is kind of a review as well. The program will have one funding cycle each calendar year, with applications being accepted in the fall of the year preceding the funding year. A volunteer committee will review the applications and make recommendations for funding to the City Commission for final approval. The value of financial support or services, so that would be in-kind services, provided by other organizations should be included in the application and noted as in-kind support. If cash or in-kind support has been received for the event, the application must include a letter of commitment as confirmation. So whoever is providing cash or in-kind support needs to write a letter verifying that they are doing that. Any entity receiving Unmistakable Identity Grant Program or TGT funds for an event must be registered and in good standing with the State of Kansas Secretary of State, and will be required to sign an agreement with the city, which will require post-event reporting, including a summary of the event, data captured from the event, including participant projections and use of city funding in the overall budget. Post-event reporting is due to the city within 1 month of the event or program, and if an event report is not filed, future funding opportunities through this program may not be allowed. Two other things. Any entity receiving Unmistakable Identity Grant funding will be required to include the City of Lawrence and Explore Lawrence logo on sponsorship program materials and credit the city for sponsorship where appropriate. The city logo is available at our website, and you can also contact Explore Lawrence, as I mentioned before, for their logo information. After the applications are received by the deadline, the committee will begin their review process. Applications will be posted on the city's website, and the meetings of the committee are open to the public. So those will be, we'll publish where those meetings are, and also have a virtual option for that as well. And this is the anticipated timeline. Obviously, the grant program is open now. The application period is open now through December 11th by 11 p.m. So December 11 by 11 p.m. is the deadline to submit online, or you can submit by mail or drop it off to our office here on Massachusetts Street. These are the two meetings that I'm holding for information. And then on Friday, January 3rd, the committee is going to meet to review the scores and make recommendations. And if all goes as planned, we will take this to the City Commission for their approval on January 7th. And here is further information about the web link, and obviously my contact information. Please feel free to contact me if you have any sort of questions. All of this is available on that website. I also posted the last meeting, the video for the last meeting on the website, and I'll post this one as well. So all the information is on the website for all of you. And that completes my presentation. And let me get back to my Zoom and stop sharing. And I am happy to answer questions if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Porter. This is Julie DeYoung with the Lawrence Old Fashioned Christmas Parade.
Hi.
Hi. Just a quick question on the different categories for evaluation. Are those weighted, or are they all considered equally? Of economic impact, economic sustainability, et cetera.
They're all, so if you look at the scoring matrix, the score sheet that the committee will be filling out, they're weighted differently under that scoring matrix.
Okay, so it's on the spreadsheet.
And sorry, my slide didn't show the actual scoring. That's the next layer below. It was supposed to be a PowerPoint and it's supposed to be animated, but it didn't animate correctly.
Okay,
you go
no problem.
on that website, that scoring matrix is available there, so you can actually see how that's being scored.
Terrific, thank you.
And just for everybody's awareness, the scoring is just a first step. It's not a final step. We do plug that into, many of you probably seen it, we plug it into a standard deviation form, which shows where scores are deviating for some reason. That allows people to make an argument. Let's say a new event were to come in, and one of the committee members knows about the event, others have not seen it, and they want to argue in favor of that event above and beyond the scoring. That is, we allow that and keep that in place for that reason.
I have a question regarding the awards of the awarding of the grants. So do you have an idea of if you are going to grant, a number of requests at 100%, or if there's a certain number that you may grant at 50% of what's asked? Is there any format to how the grants might be awarded?
We have always done this based on the committee's recommendations. So once the scoring comes in, they make the determination as to how they want to share, spread the money through the different applicants. I can say that, generally speaking, it's varied every single year, but generally speaking, we get probably double the ask for the amount of money available. And the committee usually goes through carefully and determines different grant levels. So in other words, one or two events may get 100% funding, a couple of events may get, say, 75%, et cetera, et cetera. They try to spread the funding out, but they also want to make sure that enough grant money is given to each event to make, to make an impact.
Okay. Is there a minimum in the sense of regarding the percentage? So is your goal to, at a minimum, say, fund 25% of the request or 50% of the request?
Because each event is so different, like, as I said in the beginning, grants can range anywhere between $600 and $15,000. So
Okay.
that's another reason we don't have sort of a set, schedule for all these things, because the grants vary, the different events vary so much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead. I can't hear.
Sorry. Yes.
Sorry, it's very hard to hear.
I changed speakers. Does that work better?
That's better. Thank you.
So my question would be, what kind of supplemental materials are the members of the committee for those indicators, like environmental and so on?
Whoops, your mic went down again. What I got was supplemental materials. We're only seeking what's on the online grant form, but that does include a web URL. So if you want to include, if you have a web page presence or something to that effect, and you can attach anything you'd like, basically, to supplement your grant request, and just make sure that they have enough information to review.
Okay, thank you.
I can hear you again. Good.
Sorry, I changed my speakers.
Now it's working. That's great.
Great.
Technology is wonderful when it works.
No kidding.
Anybody else? And of course, please feel free to call or email. I'm happy to answer questions. Okay. Thank you all. And I will post this video online as well. And as I said, everything you need is online, including my contact information. So all the best and enjoy next week. And I'm sure we'll cross paths in the future. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.